And our top focus in WION right now. Russia has announced to build a nuclear power plant in Uzbekistan. A deal has been signed in Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Uzbekistan. Well, according to the Kremlin, Russian state nuclear firm Rosatom will build up to 6 nuclear reactors with a capacity of 55 megawatts each in Uzbekistan. This is, however, a smaller scale project than the 2.4 gigawatts one agreed in 2018, which remains to be finalized. Well, Putin said that Russia will put $400 million into a joint investment fund of $500 million to finance projects in Uzbekistan. If implemented, the deal will showcase Russia's ability to export high-tech products to new Asian markets. And all this amid sanctions by the Western countries. The move is being seen as Russia extending influence in Central Asia in competition with the West. Essentially, Uzbekistan has tripled its exports of uranium products to the European Union market in the past year. Uzbek President Mirziyoyev called it the first such project in post-Soviet Central Asia. Interestingly, there are no nuclear power plants in any of the 5 ex-Soviet Central Asian republics, although Uzbekistan and its neighbor Kazakhstan, both uranium producers, have long said their growing economies needed them. For more on this, we earlier joined by Professor Peter Kuznick, Director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. We asked him about the significance of this project in Uzbekistan. Take a listen.
Globally now, we see a trend toward building more and more nuclear energy. Most people believe that that is relatively safe and much more environmentally friendly. Russia and China have both been expanding the number of nuclear facilities that they're building around the world. So on the one hand, this is in that context, but it's also part of the competition with the US in Central Asia. The United States has tried to make more and more inroads through trade in that region, but the Russians are showing that they can match them technologically and is not ready to relinquish influence in that region. So on the one hand, you can see it in that context. In the broader nuclear context now, we've got a very alarming trend taking place, and that's this game of nuclear chicken that's occurring. On the battlefield, Ukraine is losing more and more ground as Russia is gaining. And that is making many of the NATO countries feel quite desperate right now. We've got 2 kinds of threats going on. On the one hand, we've got Macron and others calling for sending NATO troops into Ukraine, both as trainers and in combat in certain circumstances. And then on top of that, we've got the Cameron and Blinken and Stoltenberg and the Poles and the Estonians saying that the Ukrainians should be allowed to use Western weapons to hit inside of Russia. Now that is very dangerous because Putin's response is these tactical nuclear weapons drills on Ukraine's border. So we see nuclear escalation going on both sides in this nuclear chicken game that could lead to World War III. So we're at a very alarming moment. The positive use of nuclear energy and nuclear power that we're seeing right now in Uzbekistan is one thing, but the threatened use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine or more broadly is much more alarming to me right now.